guys, Harry here from the Art Gear Guide. Thank you so much for joining me today. First of all, before we get into this review, I just want to say I'm really sorry about the lack of content that I've had out since my father passed, which was the back end of November. His passing, obviously I knew my dad passing was going to be sad and upsetting and what have you, but it's affected me a lot more than what I was kind of like anticipating. It's kind of like it dropped me into a bit of a rut, but I have so many good ideas that I want to do for 2024, and I know I've got to get started on those ideas now if I want them to come to any, if I want any level of success. But it's been really, really difficult for me to come out here into the studio and just sit down and work, although that has been what I've wanted to do more than anything, because I know working just takes your mind off things. Anyway, that's the reason. It's not an excuse, but it's the reason. And before I go any further, I know you guys, nobody is pressuring me to get this content out other than me. So I'm kind of like, I'm just apologizing out of respect to you guys, because you watch and you follow my channel, and it's because of you guys that I can do this. So it's just like a courtesy thing, a respect thing for you guys by me just apologizing and letting you know what's been going on. Anyway, as you can see here, I've got a set of colour pencils. Now, the story behind how I got hold of these pencils, or why I got hold of these pencils, is a little bit interesting. So, just before my dad died, I was building up a collection of different products that I wanted to review. And I had gathered up quite a few products that I wanted to do. I had a list of lots of other things that I wanted to do as well. And I was going through Instagram, I think it was, and this clip came up. It was only like a 10-second clip. Go across to the written review that I have of these, and I have embedded the video on that written review. If you go across, you'll be able to see the exact video that I'm talking about. But I seen the video, and it was of these pencils being used, and the way they layered was like nothing I'd ever seen before from a pencil. So I hemmed and hawed about it, and I thought to myself, right, first of all, I've got to find out what pencil that is. Second, I want to get hold of the pencils, and I want to do one of two things. I want to either determine that what is happening on that video is real, or expose that what was happening on the video was trickery, bit of video editing, whatever. So I found out that this is a set of pencils. Now, they're called Sea and Essence. They're Chinese, another Chinese brand, which I know some of you guys aren't really into purchasing stuff from China, which I totally understand and I agree with. But nevertheless, I wanted to get these pencils for this review. The only place that I could find them really was AliExpress. So I know some people don't really like buying through AliExpress, but what I can say is, in the year and a half or 2 years or whatever it's been that I've been purchasing from AliExpress, I've never ever had any problems. In fact, often some of the products that I buy off AliExpress to review come to me quicker than what they do when I buy them off eBay, or when I buy products off eBay, not products to review. So I found out it was these pencils. Now, there is another box that they come in that you might be more familiar with if you see the box. I'll have an image pop up on the screen, just so that you know. And they also go by another name, which again, I'll have that name pop up on the screen because I cannot pronounce it for the life of me, and either can Google Translate. So I'm just going to put it up on the screen. But when you see the name and when you see the box that I'm talking about, you'll understand. I think a lot of you will recognize it and go, oh yeah, okay. And I think they're the same pencil. They claim to be the same pencil. So I just wanted to mention that. I can't verify that 100%, but there it is. This is the largest set that it comes in. This is a 120 set. They come in a 36 and a 72 set. There's also a 24 set, but although they're called the same name, the pencils that are in the 24 set, the actual pencils look different. Their barrel is different. Everything is different about the actual pencils, but the name on the 24 set is exactly the same. But like I say, before we get into the actual review, if you want to see the video that kind of like caught my eye and drew my attention to these, it's embedded over on the written review. Go across, take a little look, and you'll understand this review so much better if you see that video. So just an ordinary tin, looks very, very reminiscent of the, like, any 120 set tin that you would get, like the Faber-Castell Polychromos, that type of thing. So when you open the tin, on the inside of the lid here, you can see there is like a little bit of a swatch here, and each square has a number on it. As you can see, you'll have some images popping up on the screen here. These images are going to show you the 3 tiers of colors. Now, when the pencils first came to me, they weren't really in any color coding. The first 2 tiers were kind of like color coded, but like the first tier had yellow to green and the second tier had yellow to green, so it was like they were color coded in their own way. So I just took them all out and rearranged them and put them back in and color coded them that way. I know for some people that frustrates them. It frustrated me a little bit, and it's time consuming. It's something that you don't really want to be doing, but nevertheless, I'm just letting you know. But as you can see here from the images that are up on your screen, these are the colors that are in the full 120 set. Now, I'll show you a swatch in a second. You'll be able to get to see the colors a little bit better. But before we get into that, let's take a look at the characteristics of the pencil itself. Okay, so as you can see, the pencils themselves have got this striking white barrel, and the pigment identifier is on the very end of the barrel, which makes selecting the color very, very easy. There's such a contrast between the white barrel and the pigment identifier. It just makes selection very, very clean and easy. It's an average size pencil, so we've got a 3.6 millimeter core, and that's in a 7.7 millimeter barrel. On the barrel, there's not a lot of information printed on the barrel. So on one side of the barrel, I know circles don't have sides. This is a round barrel, but you know what I mean. On one side of the barrel, we have like an eye as the logo. And beside that, we have the name of the pencil, saying Essence printed. Further on along, we have the pigment identifier, and on the same side, we have a number which obviously correlates to the actual pigment. There's no pigment name there's no color name or anything like that on the barrel. It's just the number. On the opposite side, you can see some Oriental writing here, and then up towards the end of the pigment identifier, it just says C, S-E-E. Now, with the Chinese writing, with the writing on here, I did use Google Translate to try and work out what this writing said. It just doesn't make sense, but I have an image popping up on the screen. You can see exactly what it is that it says. If anybody who speaks Chinese or understands this logo can tell me whether what I'm showing you is wrong, or you know what this is supposed to mean, then that would be really great if you could do that in the comments section. But nevertheless, that's the overall characteristics of the pencil. Now, the pencil itself sharpens really well. I had no problems whatsoever sharpening any of the pencils. Before I get started, I always sharpen all the pencils before I start doing the swatch. Didn't have any issues whatsoever. So here we have the swatch. Now, I created the swatch on 2 different sheets of paper, but I started off doing the swatch. I started off with my testing on Strathmore 300 series Bristol Vellum. Don't forget, I'm trying to replicate this wonderful layering that I seen on the video. So I'm trying to establish, do these pencils layer as well as that clip showed. You can see here how the pigment it is really quite striking. It's vibrant. I didn't have to apply a lot of pressure to get this. So right off the bat, I'm really impressed with how these pencils deliver color. But I wasn't experiencing that image that I seen on the video on the Strathmore Bristol Vellum paper. But you can see anyway the colors that is in the palette overall. Now, with this being a 120 set, obviously you're spoiled for choice for color. There are a few colors that are very, very similar to one another, but I have to say the palette overall is quite good. I didn't have any major concerns about the palette. There wasn't really any colour that I needed or wanted that wasn't here. I think maybe with the greens, there's a lot of greens. I think the greens and perhaps maybe the yellows have got a few similar colours, but when you look at them closely, they are definitely different. But maybe a couple of lighter greens would have been really nice. The earth tones here, really nice as well. Down onto the greys, we've got a few greys here at the bottom. Again, really, really nice. But overall, I was quite happy with the palette. If I was nitpicking, like I say, I would take out one or two of the greens and replace them with different shades of green. But even at that, on the greens, we've still got some really nice darks here. It's just the lighter greens that I would have liked to have seen. And there are some flesh colours on here, but not many. It's not that this palette, I wouldn't say, is just, perfect for portraiture. Although you could still get away with it, especially with these colours down here along the bottom. These ochres and burnt umbers and stuff like that. Bearing in mind, I'm searching for this, the way this pencil layered. So I thought, okay, so I've done the swatch on the Bristol vellum paper, a little bit of texture on the paper, and I haven't got what I'm looking for. So I go to the tests where I do my layering test, my blending test, and my odorless mineral spirits test. And so, as you can see here, I've used Fabriano Artistico extra white hot press paper, 140 pounds, 100% cotton. So you can see here, it's all done on the one sheet. Done the layering, done the blending. Sorry, excuse me. I've created this sphere. Now, as you're looking at the sphere, it hasn't been touched with odorless mineral spirits. I'm going to do that now for you. But let's talk about the individual tests, and we can move on to the odorless mineral spirits. So you can see here with the layering test. Now, with the layering test, what I always do, if you're new to the channel, what I always do is apply 5 layers on top of each other. So this first column has got one single light layer, and I hold the pencil as far to the end as I can and just allow the weight of the pencil to apply the layer. You can see here that even though I apply the layer like that, there's still an ample amount of pigment on the paper. Now, obviously, this paper is got a really nice texture on it, really nice tooth. It's a high quality paper, so the paper is helping the pencil here a little bit. I then go along and I apply a layer on each column, up to 5 layers. Now, the reason why I do that is because I personally don't use odorless mineral spirits when I'm doing my artwork, but I know a lot of artists do, and those people who ordinarily use odorless mineral spirits on a regular basis will say that you need to have at least 4 or 5 layers on the paper before you start using the odorless mineral spirits. The reason for that is obviously just so that you've got enough pigment on the paper to move around with the odorless mineral spirits, and it gives you a better result if you have that on. So that's why I used this as a gauge, 5 layers. I could have easily went on and done more layers, but I'm just showing you how well the pencil performs with the 5 layers. Right on the last column here, you can see there's just a single heavy application. Again, that just gives you an indication of the strength of the pigment, the saturation levels that's in the pencil. And as you can see here, all really nice. Now, the next one here we have is the blending test, and all that we're simply trying to do here is with 2 colours create a third colour. Now, not all, I know that sounds really simple, especially if you're a watercolour artist or an acrylic artist or oil artist or anything like that, because blending colours together is very, very easy to create a third colour with whatever number of colours that you're using. With colour pencil, it's a little bit more difficult, and it's not all the time is it very noticeable. I always do this test with 3 colours, yellow, red and blue, and just to get these third colours. And you can see here in the top one, the yellow and red has given me a nice orange. The yellow and blue has given me a really nice green as well. And down here at the bottom, which is always perhaps the hardest one to accomplish, the red and the blue has given me a nice purple colour as well. So The blending is really good in these pencils as well. Like I say, always bear in mind the paper that I'm using, because the paper is important. No matter what you're doing, if you've got a really good high quality paper on you, you can turn a really low grade pencil into a really decent drawing tool. Obviously, you know, you're going to have your light fast issues and what have you, but paper is really important. So down at the bottom here we have the sphere, which I'm going to now do with odorless mineral spirits. The numbers down the side, don't worry about those. They're just the blues that I used and the black to accomplish this sphere. So just let me get this into scene a little bit better. Okay, so like I say, I don't normally use odorless mineral spirits. It's just when I'm doing my own artwork, I prefer to use the pencils to help me blend in and stuff like that, like use a white pencil or a colourless blender. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it's just personal preference at the end of the day, and I just prefer not to use odorless mineral spirits. I find, for me personally, I'm probably not using the odorless mineral spirits right, and it just doesn't give me the right look that I'm looking for in the artwork that I do. I'm using Zest It, which I know is difficult for a lot of people to get in other parts of the world. But here in the UK, it's really quite easy. It's just an odorless mineral spirits, and it has that lemony scent on it. So I've got a brush here. I'm just going to apply the odorless mineral spirits and see what we get in terms of how the pigment breaks down, or sorry, how the pencil breaks down and how this pencil performs. So anyway, there's the odorless mineral spirits. I'll have an image up of that over on the written review, so you can see it before the odorless mineral spirits and after. But again, I don't think that I accomplished on this paper the same type of layering and coverage that I got in the video. At this point, I was starting to wonder, you know, is this like a trick video? Is this something that I'm not getting? Or I then went on and done some artwork, like I always do. I spoke to somebody about this the other day. Somebody said to me about 2 years into when I started doing reviews that they thought it was essential that I do some artwork when I'm doing the reviews. And at the time I thought that's nonsense. It was probably one of the best bits of advice that I got from a viewer. And that's a hard choice to select, because I've been given so many wonderful bits of advice to help me improve the channel. But I went and I done a little bit of artwork. So before I show you the artwork, I'll show you the pencil on black paper, which is the final test. So here you go. This is the four colors, like red, yellow, blue and green on black paper. And obviously then the white pencil here as well. Now this test doesn't show you whether the pencil's good or bad or anything like that. All colour pencil artists like to work in a certain way. Some colour pencil artists like working on dark paper. Some of them like translucent colours and some of them like opaque colours. So all this test does is it just gives you a little bit of an idea as to what type of pencil. For example, the Faber-Castell Polychromos are quite translucent, so when you do a test like this on black paper, you tend not to be able to see the colours very well. Whereas if you go to a pencil like Prismacolor, they're much more thicker, much more opaque, and so they're much more vibrant on black paper. Like I say, it doesn't mean one pencil's better than the other. It's just everybody has their own style, everybody has their own choice, and that's all this test does. Okay, so next up, I done this artwork. I found this image on Pinterest, and so I thought, you know, that'll be nice to do. This time I used Derwent Lightfast paper, which I think is a little bit similar to the Fabriano, but it's not the same. the texture on this paper is a little bit different. They're both, in my opinion, amazing papers for colour pencil artists. Absolutely amazing papers, and I love them both. But the Dermot Lightfast paper, I do really, really like. But as you can see here, the artwork turned out okay. I wasn't super thrilled with it, but just been in a rut lately, and it took me a long time to do this artwork when it shouldn't really have taken me that long. So I was happy enough with it when it came out. But it gave me a better understanding of the pencil. And when I was using this, I thought to myself, I really enjoyed the layering that I got. It wasn't exactly the same as what I got or what I seen in that video, but the actual layering process from these pencils was really, really nice. I thought that these pencils, whenever I was using them, they reminded me a little bit of the Faber-Castell Polychromos in terms of the core being quite hard, being able to hold a point, yet still be able to deliver a really nice application of colour. Not all hard-cored pencils do that. For example, the Derwent Artist pencil is a pencil that shines when you apply lots of layers. When you apply 1 or 2 layers, the Derwent Artist looks a little bit washed out, but that's not what that pencil was designed for. It's designed for the colour pencil artist that enjoys layering, building up depth and stuff like that with their work. Faber-Castell Polychromos is like I say, it's an equally hard core, but it delivers that colour a lot faster and a lot easier than, say, like the Derwent Artist. Well, this pencil here is the same. I wouldn't say it's obviously not as good as the Faber-Castell Polychromos, but when I was using it, the core feels along those lines. It gives me that impression when I'm using it. So that gives you an idea of what these pencils are like. Now, again, at this point, I was getting frustrated. So I've tried 4 different papers now. I've tried the black paper, Strathmore 300 series Bristol Vellum. I've tried the Fabriano Artistico, and now I've tried the Derwent Lightfast paper. And so I'm starting to get frustrated, and I'm thinking, right, okay, so this is a trick then. It's a trick. Whatever this video is, it's just a trick. The pencils layer nice, but they don't layer the way they do in that video. Then I thought to myself, right, okay, so that image that they were drawing was like an anime character, and so there wasn't a lot of layering in it. It was like a blocky coloured character, and it looked amazing. So I thought, right, okay, all in. I'll do another drawing. So I did this drawing just to give me, just maybe in case it was the subject of the drawing that was wrong. But again, I just didn't get it. I just didn't get the same coverage that or layering ability that I seen in that video. And then I thought, right, I'm going to have to, this is annoying me. It's bugging me. I don't understand why this is happening. I don't understand what has happened in that video. And at this point, you're probably going, for God's sake, Harry, just drop it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But it does matter, because I see people looking at that clip and probably doing exactly the same thing I did, which is go, wow, they look amazing. I'm going to go and buy them and get them and be disappointed. And what I want to do is the same thing I do in all my reviews, which is make sure before you go and buy a pencil, you know exactly what you're going to get. Hopefully, what I'm doing or what I'm able to do is come along and go, yes, that product does work like that, or no, it doesn't. So I started digging around, and I found out that that particular drawing was done again on a Chinese paper. It was a professional drawing and sketching paper by a company called Flybird or something like that. I have the exact name of the paper on the written review over in the Art Gear Guide. So if you want to know the exact name of the paper, go across and take a look at the written review. But essentially, the paper could be the reason why they got that coverage. So at the end of the day, I can't debunk that 100%, that video. And like I said, that's why I said at the beginning, if you see the video, you'll understand what I'm talking about. What I can say is that the pencils layer nice, and you get really nice saturation levels with the colours, but it just doesn't layer the way that video does on Bristol Vellum paper, Derwent Lightfast paper, or Fabriano Artistico paper. And those 3 papers, although you can get similar types of papers from different brands, it still gives you a good cross-reference of the types of paper that you're not going to get that on. If I can get hold of the paper, if I can get hold of a pad or something like that from AliExpress, I will buy it and I'll bring it and I'll do like a recap video. But That's my conclusion of that side of the issue for now. So that's my review of the Essence, the CN Essence coloured pencils. I really enjoyed them. I liked using them. I think I'll probably enjoy using them even more when I'm not chasing this stupid thing that I have in my head about the layering ability of them. The layering ability is nice, and like I showed you on the layering test, I could have got a lot more layers than the 5 layers I showed you. It's the same with the blending, and as you've seen with the odorless mineral spirits, the ingredients, the pencil ingredient breaks down really nicely. Now, they say it's an oil-based pencil, but if you guys have been following me for any length of time, you will know and understand that I don't get into oil or wax-based arguments about pencils. I tell you how the pencil feels to me, whether it's hard, whether it's soft, whether it creates like a tackiness or anything like that, whether it layers well. I prefer to describe the core rather than just say it's wax or oil based. What I will say before we go is, and I'll just put this black piece of paper down, I'm sure some of you more seasoned coloured pencil artists have already noticed this, but the CN Essence pencils, I thought halfway through, I thought to myself, wow, they look identical to the Tombow Irigitan. And as you can see here, the pencil on the bottom of the screen is the Tombow Irigitan, and the pencil on the top here is the CN Essence. Now, everything is identical. The pigment identifier on the end is 1 inch long. The core sizes on these pencils are exactly the same, and the barrel sizes are exactly the same as well. So in every aspect, visually, the pencils are identical, but the cores are very different. If I had to say anything about the difference, I would say that the CN Essence delivers a lot more saturation, a lot more colour than the Tombow Irigitan. The Tombow Irigitan are a really nice pencil, but they're a little bit like the Derwent Artist. You need a really good quality paper for them, and they are a layering pencil. You don't get, with 1 or 2 layers of the Tombow, you don't get like this really saturated colour. At least not when you're doing light layers. So I just wanted to highlight that. I wanted to show that. If you want to see my review on the Tombow Irigitan when I did a review of the full 100 count, I'll have a link for that down below. And you can go across, take a little look at that, and then try to compare. I will do a video later on where I compare both pencils and show you just how different the cores are. But for now, I just wanted to mention on the video, just in case anybody's saying, my goodness, they look just like the Tombow. I know that, and I seen that kind of clicked in my head towards the end of the drawing the artwork that I did. So that is everything. If you've got any questions that you would like to ask me about these pencils, please by all means do so. Just ask your questions in the comments and I'll do my very best to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. If you're not already following me on Facebook, Instagram, or X as it's now known, again, I'll have links for those down below. If you follow me on any of those platforms, you just get a good you get a notification whenever something goes out, or I put other things up on those platforms, especially Instagram. I'll put photographs of Coda, my dog, up and stuff like that. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribing to the channel really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. It also gives you a notification as and when I put a video out. So, you know, if I do a giveaway video or anything like that, you don't want to miss out on it. So if you're subscribed, you'll get a notification and you won't miss it. And I think that's really about it. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I've got some big plans for 2024. And I hope when I implement these plans, you guys enjoy them or like them or still support them and stuff like that. But I need to work a lot more on my Patreon channel. There's lots of different things. I'll talk maybe more about that later on. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much for all your patience, for sticking with me through all of this. I will sort myself out. I have given myself the time because of my dad passing. But I do need to get back to things for my own sanity more than anything else as well. Thank you so much for all your support, for all your kind words and everything, and I look forward to seeing you all again in the next review. Thanks guys, bye.